Yeah. We started practice out there, so kids had fun a little bit.
I'm sure, but you're right. Like catching the ball and that, like if you can't see what's coming back
It actually helps those guys focus a little bit harder. I told those guys you got to focus through this fog that much more in order to execute. So it was good. We got something out of it. Fire away.
so I know he was able to get dressed on Saturday, but like it's nice having Fidone working back in, like just knowing that he can be present at practice more. It's been scary in the spring, so to be able to get back at this point and participate a little bit more.
Yeah, his comfort level is increasing every single rep, every single day. We're patient with him. We're taking his time with him. There's nothing physically wrong with him. It's more or less mentally getting the reps, getting back into the groove of, stepping with the correct foot, going back on the right technique on our wind blocks, running crisp routes, those type things. It's going to take a little bit of time to get him back in the flow of things there. And reason I was a little late here, stayed out a little bit with him, kind of working on some things, trying to, get him back in the groove of things. And I'm happy where the other guys are playing. I'm just trying to build him up a little bit, see if he can give us something here at the back end of this season.
Ross talked a couple weeks ago about how the transfer portal will be a big part of this offseason recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
For you guys as a staff, or for you, how do your connections, like in Florida or in the South, how do those factor into that element or that portion of recruiting?
Well, that's a big factor. Obviously, with the transfer portal, kids are at other universities, so we can't tamper with those guys at all. When kids go in the transfer portal, we identify them. We have a list that we get every single day, so we kind of know. And then obviously, if there's a kid that we're interested in, the first thing we're doing is trying to reach out to the coach and figure out where the kid's leaning, or does he have any interest in Nebraska. So we get a daily report on that on the transfer portal every single day. And then also I field calls from coaches from the South, Orlando, up to South Georgia, and all the way in Atlanta on kids that may be thinking about it. And if there's an interest, a lot of the coaches call me. I'm getting those calls also.
How similar or different is that approach from how you would go after high school prospects?
Very, very similar. Obviously, we're looking for the right fit in the transfer portal. So there's a lot of digging and research that we have to do, and there's a lot of kids that we've kind of turned away because of some of the negativity that we hear on some of the reports, what they've done, at other places. Obviously, our culture is where it needs to be here. We don't want to bring in guys that doesn't have a great background and doesn't fit our culture. So it's a lot of tedious information that we have to locate and find.
You found that's come up much where kids have popped up and you had
Yep.
known previously in other
I've learned a long time. That's why you always recruit well. Even if a kid is not coming to your university, you recruit the family, just like they're coming to your university. And then if they decide to go somewhere else, you always encourage them at their university. And then a lot of times that helps you in the end on the back end of things, particularly with the transfer portal when kids want to transfer out.
Have there been any examples of that so far?
Not here, but I've had some kids, at UCF coaching that I recruited them. There's a couple linemen down there now that I recruited. Obviously, I wasn't there when they came back, but you do a good enough job, and those guys end up transferring back to places to help a university getting another opportunity.
Can that be a tough moment as a coach when a kid makes a decision to pick a different school? You feel like you've recruited him well.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe don't necessarily agree with that decision, and yet you've got to maintain that relationship. You've got to be encouraging of him, in that decision, so that if an opportunity arises down the road, you're still in it.
Exactly right. I mean, you always try to. I've learned a long time. A kid makes a decision what he felt was the best for him at the time, him and his family, and things change all the time, and you have to treat it and respect that. And I think in the back end of things, you end up getting rewarded later on for a kid. Travis Vokalak came to us because relationship with his father. Didn't take long for me to build that relationship with him because I've known his dad, through times him coming over with the rest of our staff. So he's a prime example of reaping the benefits of coming back in the transfer portal to a different university.
I've had Travis fully in the mix about half the season now. How do you feel like that rotation has settled in between him and Austin and their various skill sets, and then mixing in other guys in sub packages here and there?
Yeah, that's been great having him back. We're trying to split reps with those two. You can see sometimes those guys are in there together playing together, and then sometimes Travis and Austin will split a series. So that's keeping those guys fresh. And I want good quality reps on everything that they're doing. Last week, I think Travis had 41 reps, Austin had 44, and I think this week Austin had 43 reps, and then Travis had 41. So I try to keep a pitch count on those guys and give those guys good reps. And then obviously Brewington has done some good things on certain packages, and then Hickman, I'm hoping to get him growing again. He's finally got himself healed up from a knee and a shoulder injury, and then also continue to work Thomas and Nate Borkacher. Those guys are all on my field now working to get ready for this game here.
Thomas in uniform now. Do you feel it's important? I think it was Austin who said it last week. Just even if you just got a couple of reps, obviously you're playing games that you expect to be close, and it's hard to put an inexperienced guy
Right.
in. So how do you balance that, knowing the importance that it could have for him down the road, just to be able to get a taste of it?
Yes, that's exactly right. We're just trying to get him an opportunity. We get 4 games. Obviously, try to play him. I'm not going to burn his red shirt year, and didn't want to do that with Carney or A.J. Rollins. So it's his turn to try to get a few snaps here and there. It's going to help him, get that feel of going out and competing in a live setting. Nate Borkacher has had that situation there. I'm trying to hold his red shirt year too, also. But he's gained some experience, and then Thomas is gaining experience in practice. But I like to get him some game experience before the season's out.
What you see from him, and I know you have to pay attention more to the guys who are playing, but with Thomas on Saturday, what kind of energy, excitement did he have to just be a part of that?
Well, he's always very motivated, highly motivated kid. He brought the energy because Austin and Travis have built that within our community as far as at the tight end position. All those guys that come over, we don't like to hear guys not hear guys. So certain situations in the game, I heard, Thomas cheering us on. I heard him on the back end when we weren't doing well in the third quarter, encouraging guys. So that's what you want because he knows that those guys whenever he gets out there, those guys are going to encourage him and pick him up if he needs to also.
What's it like for you right now to coach Austin? He seems to be playing at a high level, and his pride in this program was real evident Saturday when he talked after the game about just how upset he was that he had a ball go off his hands that contributed to a turnover.
He came over and hugged Adrian and told him he should have made that play for him, and because obviously he felt that Adrian didn't need that last one there. He's more for the team, and he kind of beat himself up. And I encourage him, hey, you're not going to make every play. You're going to try to do everything right, and that's just one of those situations where the ball kind of bounced the wrong way. Guy came in and hit it out of his hand, and it popped up in the air, and guy made a play on it. One of those unfortunate deals. He's our leader, and he's really, really done a great job of showcasing his abilities and what he's done since I got here to where he is right now. He's worked extremely hard on his game every summer. He's worked on his flexibility. He's worked on his strength. He just looks like a different kid playing out there, playing with a lot more confidence. You watch him warm up. His passion when he warms up is basically infection. Those other guys kind of feed off him and gravitate towards what he's doing.
Do you coach him like he's coming to the end of things? I know it's his decision, but does he look to you like a guy who can move on if he so chooses?
Yeah, he is. Both of those guys, him and Travis, we've talked a little bit. Those guys going to kind of reassess things. I wanted to get through Ohio State. And then those guys going to assess where things are here the bye week and kind of I told those guys I don't want them to make any decisions till after the season, but they're going to kind of do a little bit of research on the bye week, see where things are, and we'll leave it at that. I told them, it's up to the parents and Coach Frost for the communication. I'm the third person, that should be involved with that situation there. So obviously, I think there was basically the world of those two. They put themselves in a position to where they got an opportunity to make a good decision for themselves. And I'm not going to steer them in the wrong direction in that ultimately, along with their parents. And we'll see what happens when the end of the year happens.
Sean, what would you tell people who wonder why you remain confident in Adrian and the staff?
Adrian has done a lot of good things for us. Obviously, he's played in some situations where he's, basically hadn't done some good things for us. I'm a believer of I'm going to uplift whoever's at that starting position, whoever it is, and then if that other person, if there's another person comes in there, we're going to uplift that guy. My biggest thing is try to encourage. That's the way I've been coaching for many years, and I've had tons of success. He's the number one guy. We got to build him up and get him to perform at a high level. And in the story there, Travis and Austin, those guys are the number ones. I'm going to build them up just like now I'm trying to build up Thomas Fidone's confidence right now. I kept him out after practice today, trying to increase his confidence because he blew a couple things, trying to build him up. And, right now he's not where he needs to be, as far as being able to come out and compete. But that's why you work with him and continue to build him up and give him the confidence to do that thing.
Is it physical with Fidone, or is it more mental?
It's more mental right now. Just getting the reps, getting the signal, lining up quick, going and execute. And so we went through a script and a half, just going, getting the signal, lining up quick, just me and him, getting the line quickly, and then executing. It's all got to go happen really, really quick for him. It's really slow for him right now.
Can you get him ready by Saturday?
We're working. We've been doing this for the last 2 weeks, so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Travis was just talking about improving his leadership through reading books. In what ways have you seen Travis's leadership increase over time?
Well, he's taken all the young guys. He's kind of taken a little bit off Austin. Austin's more or less dealing with more of the team. Travis is more or less taking care of the young guys, A.J. Rollins, Carney, Fidone's, Borkacher, making sure those guys are learning what we're trying to do and learning what we do in that tight end room. And it's going to carry over. I've seen it carry over into some of the things that offensively, when we're in an offensive environment, he's taking over and stepping up and trying to lead there also. But I know Coach Austin has helped him quite a bit in his leadership. Coach Austin has a few books that he's encouraged those guys, Austin and Travis, to read and partake in. And those guys come over on every Thursday. They go meet with him and talk to him, and then they come see me about the game coming up.
You have a really good global vision of things. You always have.
Mhm.
If I was going to ask you what's the one thing your offense could do tomorrow, this Saturday, that could improve things immediately, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing for us is we just got to play just a little bit harder across the board, and we got to focus in a little bit harder across the board on every single play. Our lapses have been killing us. Quarterback, running back, tight ends, receivers, O-line. Our lapses have caused us not to execute on plays that we can basically have scored on. I can count 4 to 5 every single week. If somebody plays a little bit harder or somebody has a little bit more focus, we're sitting here 8-1, 7-2, better season, particularly just on offense. And I pride myself with the tight ends to really, really harp on those small details. If they're not focused on a play, it's a lack of paying attention to detail. That means you're thinking about something else when you should be detailing everything up. And the kids know when they screw up at the tight end position, as soon as that play is over, they know I'm right now in their ear. And that's one of the reasons why those guys are playing at a high level, because I'm constantly on those guys on the small details, lack of focus. When I sense it and I see it on the practice field, I'm going to address it right away.
How much was that an issue against Purdue team across the offense? Lack of focus.
Lack of focus. When you make mistakes, when you don't step with the correct footwork on the offensive line, tight end, or if you hit the wrong landmark as a running back, when a hole is there and you should be downhill bouncing it, that's a lack of focus and lack of the detail. So same thing with the quarterback. If we're not reading things through and the ball's not going in the right spot and we get a pick, that's a lack of focus and lack of detail. Receiver may have caused, some of those interceptions, just like Austin did on one. But the lack of focus and lack of detail right now has cost us some plays to where we got to do a better job as going forward. To beat Ohio State this week, we got to play with a lot of passion. We got to be focused on all the details. We got to play that much more harder against this team that's coming in, and we'll be successful.
What does playing harder look like? Like just play to play? Like you say, we got to play a little harder.
You just got to grind a little bit harder. I'm old school, come from a background to where I had to fight for everything I've gotten, and we try to instill that in the tight end, obviously, but I'm trying to instill that in everybody on this team. You got to fight and grind just a little bit harder. If I'm kick sliding on a pass pro, I got to kick slide just a little bit harder and a little bit more strain. Same thing on a pass rush, same thing driving on an out as a corner. All those things we got to do just a little bit harder against a team like this, and we're going to start seeing results across the board.
Anything else, guys?